Hi, this is Ron Ovitt with Habit Hacks. You know, you may have seen the episode when we talked about triggers, how to spot them, how to name them, how to map them. If not, you may want to go back and look them up and where you can really get a handle on triggers. What are they? How come we keep failing? Because truly that's a habit hack, right? If you want to overcome a habit, then you need to know what triggers are, where you can figure out how to avoid them. Well, today I want to take us a step further into the moment itself. The trigger's fired. The craving is rising. You can feel it. The clock is ticking, because here's what most people don't know. There's a window, a real neurological window between the moment the trigger fires and the moment your habit kicks in automatically. A gap where choice is still possible. But did you get that? There's a moment where a choice is still possible. Now, I know many times that didn't feel possible at all. I understand. But if you keep focusing and don't give up, it's there. It's small. It's fast. And if you don't know where it is, you'll miss it every time. Now, Paul in the New Testament wrote this. He said in 1 Corinthians 10:13, the temptations of your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. And when you're tempted, He'll show you a way out so that you can endure it. That's a window, a real neurological and spiritual, I might add, window between the moment a trigger fires and the moment your habit kicks in. Now here's the good news. If you learn how to use it, that gap becomes the most powerful moment in your entire habit change journey. I'm Ron Ovitt, and this is Habit Hacks in our Breaking Bad Habits series. And today we're talking about how to interrupt the pattern. And by the end of this video, you'll understand three things. First, why the moment after a trigger fires is actually the most critical moment in the entire habit loop, and why most people waste it. Second, the neuroscience of what's happening in your body during a craving, and why willpower alone can't win that fight. And third, a specific clinically grounded technique from my Mind Skills framework that gives you a real interrupt, something you can use today in the next craving you face. So let's go. Let's talk about the gap where your freedom lives. Now, this is brand new information for most people. Earlier, I introduced an idea, the gap, that tiny space between a trigger firing and your behavior starting. And I said that gap is where your freedom lives. Now, today, I want to unpack what's actually happening inside that gap, because it's not just poetic, it's biological. And when a habit trigger fires, it sends a signal deep into the brain, specifically to the region called the striatum. And the striatum starts pumping dopamine. Not a little, a lot. You see, the striatum's been primed. And when it gets triggered, when the senses come in and says, it's time, it pumps dopamine. And that dopamine says, I gotta have it, I gotta have it, I gotta have it. That dopamine creates what research describes as a state of agitation. Gotta have it. It pushes a sense of urgency, a feeling that says, I gotta act right now. Something needs to happen. It's like a smoke alarm going off in your brain. The alarm is shrill. It's insistent. And every instinct in you says that you have to respond to it. Now here's the problem. The alarm is wrong. It's faulty wiring, and you've heard me say it before. I call it a false alarm. It's a false alarm when your brain fires an emergency signal over something that isn't actually an emergency. The donut is not a crisis. The drink is not a survival tactic. The craving feels like life or death, but it isn't. The alarm is real. The emergency is not. And somewhere in between, when the alarm sounds and when you reach for the donut or you reach for the drink or whatever, there's a window. A few seconds, maybe 12, maybe 10, it varies. And in that window, you still have access to your prefrontal cortex. the decision-making part of your brain, the part that knows you've made a commitment, the part that knows what you actually want. But if you don't act in that window, if you let the craving build without interrupting it, the dopamine surge narrows your attention, shuts down rational thinking, and a habit sequence takes over. You don't decide to give in, you're just suddenly on the other side of it. The interrupt is to happen. The interrupt needs to happen in that window, and it has to happen fast. Now you may be thinking, Ron, what about our willpower? Can't I just use that? Can't I just use my willpower? Well, here's what you need to know about willpower. Your autonomic nervous system, the system that runs your body automatically, has two main modes, two subsystems that balance each other out. The first is the sympathetic nervous system. Think of it as the gas pedal. When a trigger fires, the sympathetic nerve system revs it up. The heart rate rises, breathing gets shallow and fast, muscles tense, your whole body goes into a state of activated emergency. The second system is the parasympathetic nervous system. Now that's the brake. And when it engages, it calms everything down. Heart rate slows, muscles release, the sense of emergency fades. Now here's what's critical. Most of us don't quite get this. The parasympathetic nervous system, the brake, doesn't respond to words. You can tell yourself to calm down all day long. You can reason with yourself, remind yourself of your goals, repeat your affirmations, and the sympathetic system just keeps revving. Why? Because the brake isn't connected to your verbal part of the mind. It's connected to your body. That is why the interrupt has to be physical, not mental, physical. Your body has a built-in brake pedal, and the most direct way to press it, the one that works fastest, that's accessible anywhere, that requires no equipment, no training, no perfect conditions, it's your breath. Specifically, a slow, deep, controlled exhale. Now in my Mind Skills framework, which comes directly from my Habit Challenge program and my Emotional Resilience program, I teach what I call the relaxing breath. The research behind it points to a simple principle. When you deliberately slow breathing down to approximately 4 seconds in, your inhale is 4 seconds, and 8 seconds out, breathing out for 8 seconds, your parasympathetic nervous system engages. That's a 2-to-1 or 1-to-2 ratio. You know, you're taught all kinds of ways of breathing, and I'm not here to, disagree with any of that. But if you really want to put the brakes on, then you need to exhale twice as long as you inhale. Let's try that. 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. You know what can prove that? Have you ever been on one of those, roller coasters? And what do? You get there and you go, whoa! And then you go, oh. See how long it takes to slow it down? Well, that's it. What is that? That's our sympathetic nervous system. That's our parasympathetic nervous system. And so you want to engage that exhale for twice as long as you breathe in. So if you breathe in 5, breathe out 10. But enjoy that exhale. Let that put on the brakes. The brake pedal goes down. The agitation recedes. Now it doesn't eliminate the craving, but it removes the emergency. And without the emergency, you have time, and time is everything. This is not conventional thinking. Many people reach 4 to 6 seconds and in 4 to 6 seconds out. Now that's nice for relaxing, but the truth is the calming, like I said, is connected to the exhale. That's why I teach the 1-to-2 ratio. 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. 5 seconds in, 10 seconds out. Now with that in mind, let me give you a 3-part interrupt sequence I teach in the Habit Challenge program. I want you to actually do it with me right now, not just hear it. Part 1, name it. The moment you feel a craving rising, stop. Don't react. Don't suppress it. Just name what's happening. Name what's happening out loud if you can. I have a saying that I teach in an emotional resilience class. If you can name it, you can tame it. If you can name it, you can tame it. And technically, this is called distancing. And so a lot of times I like to include my name. So it's as if I'm talking to someone else. And so I'll go, Ron, you know you're having that craving again. Ron, you really feel like doing that, but you know you don't want to. And so, you talk to yourself. It's something like, hey, my trigger just fired. I can feel the craving in my body. And locate it. Where do you feel it? Your chest, your throat, your stomach, your hands? Naming it and locating it does two things. It activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational brain. It gives it time to come online. And that creates a tiny pause between the sensation and the action. The pause is your window. Now, part two, press on the brake. Take a breath. You name it, take a breath. Just one to start. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Then breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. Do that. That's it. That's the interrupt. And what just happened in your nervous system is real and measurable. Your parasympathetic nervous system engaged. Your heart rate slowed slightly. The agitation is lower than it was 10 seconds ago. That one breath bought you time. And here's the third part. Redirect. Now, don't fight the craving. Don't white knuckle through it. Redirect away from it. The research on cravings shows something fascinating. The average intense craving peaks and passes within about 20 minutes. And if you don't feed it, it will only last about 20 minutes. Like a wave, it rises and crests and then comes down. And your job isn't to eliminate the wave, to push against it, it's to ride it. So redirect your attention to something specific. Not just distract myself, that's too vague. Have a go-to, a call you make, a walk you take, a task you start, a prayer you pray, something that you know you love to do, something you know that will motivate you, something that will snap you out of, that you get a reward from. Walk away. Breathe, knowing and visualize yourself overcoming it, praying, whatever. Get up and play some music, something that fully occupies your attention for the rest of that 20 minutes. And by the time you come back, the wave is crested. The craving has lost its peak intensity and you didn't give in. Now, probably what's going through your mind is what's gone through my mind many times. Oh, this isn't going to work. It won't work. I failed too many times. The craving is just too hard. And so what? Even if I do it now, I'll just do it tomorrow. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. Because if you don't do it today, the chances are you can do it again tomorrow, not do it, right? You can beat the craving again. And that's part of the reliving. That's part of the reliving. So it's name it, breathe, and redirect. That's the 3-part interrupt. Name it, breathe, and redirect. And here's what changes over time. Every time you run that sequence, every time you catch the window and choose the interrupt, you are building a new neurological pathway. You're literally teaching your brain a different response to that trigger. Now that's important. It's been primed. It's associated. Trigger, the trigger, the behavior, the reward. And now you're retraining it. Doesn't feel like that the first time. Probably not the third time. But by the 10th time, something shifts. The craving arrives and part of your brain is already reaching for the brake instead of the gas. That's not willpower. That's rewiring. Let me say that again. That's not willpower. That's rewiring. So here's your practice assignment this week. What I want you to do is to think of it as a practice, okay, not a test. This week, and Every time you feel a craving coming on, I want you to run the 3-part interrupt. Name it. Breathe. Redirect. What's your redirect going to be? Decide now. Know what it's going to be. What do you want to do that would redirect, take your attention, help you focus? You already know how to breathe. Remember, breathe in 4, breathe out 8. Take your time on that exhale. And you know how to name it. And you know what your name is, right? So that's easy. Hey, Ron, I'm feeling that trigger again, and I don't want to do that. And then get up. Go do whatever it is. But here's the important part. I want you to track your attempts, not just your successes, your attempts. Because here's the truth. You may not succeed every time. The craving may win some rounds. That's okay. That's not failure. That's data. And I want you to notice is this. How did the craving feel different after you took the breath? Even if you gave in, was the urgency lower? Did you feel even a 1 second of pause? That pause, however small, is the gap opening. And a gap that opens once will open wider with practice. I hope that's an encouragement. I hope that you really understand that. I hope that, this has helped you today. If so, subscribe so you don't miss another episode. I'm serious about habit hacks. I've studied this for so long. I've written books on it. I have so much that I want to share with you, and I hope that you'll come back. Subscribe to this channel so we can work on this, and then tell others. This is the mini goal method, and we're going to talk about why big goals actually work against your brain. That's coming up, so you can listen to that as well. So thanks so much for joining me today. Again, my name's Ron Ovitt with Habit Hacks. This is the part of the Breaking Bad Habits series. So I hope you come back and listen to more.